What's going on, everybody? Bobby should be joining us soon, and we're going to go over a very abbreviated four-game slate. It was six, and I guess this is what they're doing now. I don't know if this is a standard to give the early postponement, pretty much the day before when they have thunderstorm warnings. I think it's actually, I think I like it actually. Both from obviously from a DFS perspective and also from a fan perspective. I think that the whole idea of, I don't even know if this is something that's going to be standard, but I think the whole idea of people showing up in the rain, like waiting to see if the game goes on, is really, really tilting. So if this is something that's going to be continuing, I think it's great. Just cancel the day before. There's a legit shed of threat of rain. Just be done with it. Hey, Bobby.
Hey,
what's that? Do you know anything about this? Like, so like they canceled these two games like last night.
Yeah.
With the, I was just saying that I don't know if it's like kind of the thing that they're going to be doing nowadays. I like it a lot. From first of all, from a baseball and a fan perspective, I think the whole idea of like showing up at a game in the rain, like kind of hoping they play, is just uber tilting. You know, and I think it's a waste of people's time if you want to know the truth. I would rather run the risk of canceling a game where the weather then ends up being okay, rather than making people go through that. That's just me. But I don't even know if it's what they're going to be doing more of. But I just noticed that they canceled these two games early this time. Is there anything do you know about that? Because that's actually I think
they're major storms. I don't think it's anything unusual. I don't take it to mean anything that it hasn't meant yet. In the past, but that's just my view. But I'm not sure. I honestly don't. I honestly am not entirely sure. Just that's what I was under the impression of from what I read. But it's nice that they're doing that.
Yeah. What's up, kid? It would be nice if they did that in basketball.
Yeah.
What's up, K9? What's going on? Everybody good?
A really weird little one now because of it, unfortunately. And it would have been kind of, it maybe supports my argument for that. I think that if you're building some stacks, you should definitely have some Tigers, if not stacking, at least mini stacking against Chris Sale.
Well, that's the thing I wanted to talk to you about. I think that's we talked about it just kind of on the fly last night, but I think that's a legitimate argument. You know what I mean? Sale for whatever it is. I mean, he's going to be one of the chalky pitchers. And the fact of the matter is that he got blown up in his last start. So,
and he's been all over the place for a while now. I wish we had a little better hitting conditions to try and attack him in. Wish we were in Boston. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It wasn't 50 degrees, but it is what it is. Every game is 50 degrees today. Even the Colorado weather is not like ideal hitting weather. So. I kind of like the idea. I mean, they're all ugly weather games, except for at least the White Sox have the wind blowing out. But I like the pitchers a little bit more in that game, especially if I'm going to fade Sale. So I did post my early builds in our Discord.
Okay.
I'm going to mix around. Like right now, I don't think you need to stack on a 4-game slate. I think hitters against pitchers. I think everything's on the table for these types of slates. So like my first build was a 3-2-2-1 with two Detroits, 3 Torontos, 2 Rockies. With 2 Detroits, 3 Torontos, 2 Rockies, and then I have a one-off. But I kind of like that idea of getting at least a couple Tigers in. The top of the order for the Tigers is interesting, and they're all super cheap. There's 2. My first baseman that I'm going to use today are probably going to be Torkelson at 2,100 and Belt at 2,400, and I'll probably leave money on the table even. But I like the idea of playing those guys at really low ownership. Belt is like the non-chalk at all. I mean, there's not a lot actually in the Toronto game. It's not quite as high owned as you might think it would be outside of people spending up on Vlad and Bichette. Everybody else, you got like teen ownership, and then you've got like single digit ownership on Kiermaier, Biggio, and Belt. I'll take the shot with Belt here, man. That's sort of my plan. And I'm just going to double check. I want to see if Jordan Lyles, I didn't do the BVP thing yet. I would like to wait till I finish my builds for that. but he has had some experience in the National League, so we might see some look up for him.
Something you brought up. We had Jordan on, Jordan and whatever was it, Alex or Eric? I forget. I think what's the other guy's name? Alex or Eric from Saberson? I forget.
Jeez,
I'm the worst.
Yeah, no, I just saw something crazy. Sorry.
Yeah. So in any case, we had them on, and one of the things we talked about with respect to baseball is at what point in the slate size does the SaberSim default move from don't use a pitcher against hitter to it's okay? And I think that we determined that that it only not only allowed, but the default didn't go to use pitchers against hitters until there were only 2 games, and I wonder if this is a slate, even though it's 4, is that small enough, you think, to use pitchers against hitters today?
Yeah.
Okay.
I disagree with all due respect in tournaments that I think you can use it. Now, look, I wouldn't be using multiple hitters against pitchers.
Okay.
But one hitter against a pitcher is completely fine to me. And actually, in my opinion, a good way to differentiate a little bit. But I think you get, look, and I'm not saying that hey, we should be thrilled about playing the Tigers in 40-degree weather against, but you're going to get low ownership on these guys, and that's really like you want to play an angle. That seems like a good one to play to me. So that's probably what I'm going to do. And by the way, for what it's worth, Matt Chapman is 9 for 21 off of Jordan Lyles with 5 home runs. It's pretty. You don't usually see 5 home runs in 21 at bats sample size. So I know it's a small sample size, but kind of worth kind of talking me into to putting Chapman back in my early builds. Get a little more Toronto maybe. But yeah, that was sort of caught me off guard a little bit. I was surprised it was that much. But yeah, I think Toronto is my favorite, even with Coors today. So playing Toronto with some Detroit and just little bits of Colorado feels like the way I'm going to go.
What is somewhat interesting, by the way, is that we don't have a lineup for Washington yet, and I only bring that up because I wonder if they're going to be a little lower owned than normal because of that. And I don't know, I mean, like we talked about Freeland actually not being bad. So it's not like you would be jumping to play Washington, but I just wonder if you're going to get, if you wait a little bit, if you're going to get some kind of ownership discount on Washington's only because people don't want to put these guys in and have them not be starting after the 2:00 games run. I don't know.
That is an interesting take. I mean, it's certainly worth considering Washington if you had to pick the stacks for that reason until their starting lineup comes out. If that is still the case by block, that's a pretty good angle to take, I think. But it could happen any minute now,
Right. The other thing that you mentioned, so Jordan Lyles, I don't know what it is about baseball with me, but I get confused between some of the names of the guys sometimes, because there's one guy that is a pitcher that everybody loves to attack, but you kind of don't believe it, but you're kind of like, he's actually not as bad as people think. And then there are other guys that are actually as bad as people think. And I get the names confused. Like there are a couple of different Suarez's. There were a couple of different guys in the Tigers that I got lost of. You know what it was? Remember there were a couple of different Andersons. There was like a Chase Anderson and a Tyler Anderson, I think. And one of them was okay, but the other one was bad. Is Jordan Lyles the guy that's actually the person we're supposed to go after?
Yeah, in general, every statistic will tell you to go after him in general.
Okay.
But I mean, he also had some really good games where he everybody stacked against him, and he had threw 7 innings and 7 strikeouts, no hits, 1 hit or something like that a couple times last year. What's
the wind and umpire situation today, if you know?
So I don't have the umpire data for some reason. It's not loading for me. So I'm going to start getting better with that. But also I don't like to use umpire data until the first month of the season's over. Cause like I said, like hitters and everything, umpires adjust, and you see guys take actually extreme adjustments because they spend so much time working on it that oftentimes a pitcher's umpire will turn into a hitter's umpire and a hitter's umpire, a pitcher's umpire, unless they're the 60-year-old guys. So I like to give it a month to see what's happened in the offseason, because we've seen a lot of that lately. So I don't pay as much attention to the umpire data early in the season, because I do think there are changes that they make. But the wind situation is the only place with positive wind is Chicago.
Again.
Yeah, and it's not like but it's 48 degrees, so that negates a little bit of it. I mean, you know what I mean? Look at Rob coming back here. No, it's not going to go in. And then, but by the way, so I like I'm using all Gaussman today, but that's another thing you could do if you wanted to get different. Is you have guys who no one's going to play on the Royals, and I just think that would be the other thing I would try to do on this slate, just because I don't think you can get different enough within the chalk to really give yourself, look, you can have a fighting chance, sure, but like I don't think it's the right way to play. Let's put it that way, to just play the chalk, the chalk step, the chalk plays on this slate. I think that getting, like I mentioned, the belt on Toronto, Javier Baez is one of the Detroit bats I like. Eric Haas. It's kind of, I also like the idea of, Boston's not nearly as good away from home and it's not good hitting weather, but Boston's actually going to get pretty good ownership. I think Boston might end up more owned than, depending on the spot. Like I think that you're going to have a ton of ownership you're going to have plenty of ownership on Devers. He'd probably be one of the highest owned players on the slate. I think that Boston, I would play Toronto ahead of Boston. And I would play Detroit ahead of San Francisco and Kansas City. That's the way that I'm sort of leaning with my main.
Any chance I could talk you into? Now again, only because it's a 4-game slate. Any chance I can talk you into these pitchers in the Colorado game? Both of them.
Yeah, both of them I think are viable. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, there are 8 pitchers, and the chalkiest one gave up 7 runs in his last start.
Yep.
And then there's Gaussman and Lynn, who's 50% owned each. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. You said the weather's not so great in Colorado anyway.
The tough part with Freeland is the strikeout rate, to be honest. But he's he's not as bad of a real life pitcher as people think he is. Actually, I don't even know if they think he is. He just pitches in Colorado and he's a lefty.
Yeah.
And it is what it is, but he's actually like a decent-ish real life pitcher. And Josiah Gray has all the talent in the world. His stuff moving in Colorado, I don't know where that stands, but I actually like that idea, Sheath. I don't think that this is, and it's bad hitting weather there. And you have a guy in Josiah Gray who, he threw 87 pitches his first time out. That's good enough for me. He gave up 3 home runs to Atlanta. I know it sounds weird to say, but if he doesn't give up those home runs, he actually pitched a pretty decent game. Getting through 5 in Atlanta, giving up 5 runs is not like the worst thing in the world, but they were all on the home runs. That's what he does. Unfortunately, this is a good place to hit home runs, obviously. But I think that if you mitigate some of that with the weather, both Gray and Freeland are in play. Yeah, absolutely, Sheets.
I gotta tell you, my I'm just kind of in the mood. I say I'm going to play that, even though it's only 4 games. I'm going to play that 555, and that's my initial plan is to play Josiah Gray as one of my pitchers. That's my.
I have no issue with that, man.
Yeah, that's my and if I do that, then I could probably play Toronto, and not worry about ownership too much.
Yeah.
If you really wanted to be a pain in the ass, I could stack Detroit with Josiah Gray. Then I could play Detroit with Toronto.
Then you're just really just going for it, huh?
It's only 4 games.
No, I hear you. I'm not opposed to it. I'm just saying that's what you're doing, though.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to get that kooky, but I think one of those 2 things is appropriate. Like either Josiah Gray or Detroit. I think that both those things are.
Yeah. So now I've changed my build to a 4-2-1-1 build with Toronto, but two from Detroit. And I like Eric Haas at catcher is 4K, and you've got the 3,100. Obviously, Keeper Ruiz is probably the best play if you played this, and Diaz and Jansen. Those would be the 3 best. But some people will even throw out either Melendez or Perez. I think that Haas, who you could argue like whatever, like, but he's going to be he's going to be like 1% or 2% owned. You know what I mean? And that's just good. That's just so enticing to me for a guy who actually hit 20 home runs in the major leagues, which most of these guys haven't. Obviously Perez and Melendez at a higher price, but can do that. But
dude, I will also tell you somebody. And again, I don't know his full detail. I just again just to be biased or whatever. I'll tell you who did really really well for me last year. Since you're talking about catchers a little bit, this Savala from Chicago.
Yeah.
He's 2,500 in the win game, in the good win game.
Yeah, no problem there.
Yeah. What about the White Sox today?
Yeah. So I have like I'm using like them as one-offs basically is the way I'm treating them.
Yeah, they're all kind of expensive.
But that's okay though. I mean, Alex Wood's a good pitcher. It's not like he's a bad pitcher, but I mean, he's occasionally can get roughed up a little bit. The White Sox historically we know are better against lefties, but this is not the same White Sox lineup. Like Abreu, who's one of the guys we used to love against lefties, he's not in there. Hanser Alberto is batting 5th today, which is not a good sign. And we love him as a Dodger guy. He was one of our better relief pitchers.
It's pretty funny.
He pitched like 9 times last year. Isn't that crazy? Like really, like that's what you get when I guess you're just much better than everybody else in baseball and you win games by 10 runs. But it's pretty wild. Yeah, but it should be a fun day between this and the Masters. Hopefully having some sweats and well, I mean it's early to have sweats for the Masters, obviously, but I didn't play the Showdown. Did you end up getting any of that?
With Showdown Golf?
Showdown Golf, yeah.
No, I only do that on day 4.
You're the big day 4 guy. Gotcha.
Well, because that's the only thing that's really interesting to me. You know what I mean? Because you have like the position stuff. I figure I'm already playing the you know what I mean? Like I don't think I've ever played Showdown except for day 4.
Yeah.
You like something today? Like who am I rooting for?
No, it's a little late. I didn't do it today. But I have this consistent thing where every time I start off slowly in DFS for day 1, I end up for golf, I end up doing well, and every time I start off fast, I do poorly. So I was kind of hoping, like I was kind of thinking to myself, like God, I don't even have anything great going, but I've got a few of like the nuts so far, kind of a thing. But a lot of guys left to play, obviously. But I just thought it would have been. I kind of want to play some Showdowns during this event, so I think I'm gonna.
I will tell you this, man. There's nothing better than the freaking Masters coverage online. It's like every sport should have this. Dude, look at this. This is not going to violate too many copyright laws, and nobody's paying for this. But I mean, like I identify like the 40 golfers I have in my favorites, and it literally shows me every shot of all 40. I mean, like it's amazing. I mean, and it goes back and forth. I mean, this is what they should have for every tournament and every sport and everything. And we talked about this when we talked about this with Steve, I think. That what's going to separate like sports books if like all they're doing is providing just like a line to bet on in the absence of providing like really really good lines, it's going to be the sports book that provides the best viewing, the best experience. And the same thing with like DFS and all this stuff. Like every sport you should be able to like track all of your stuff, especially considering that daily fantasy, like you don't care as much about how the team does as how your players do. You should be able to like tag and identify like all the guys you're sweating and have you be able to follow them. Like if they're in the game, you're following them, whatever it is. But like this golf, I mean, the difference between like how the Masters and like the U.S. Open, for example, are covered as opposed to say other tournaments. I mean, the gap is just way too wide. I mean, I think that all the tournaments, the technology exists if they're going to support gambling, I mean, this is like gambler's freaking paradise, being able to sweat every shot like this.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you 100%. Somebody should be doing it. I'm going to just address a few of the things in the chat because I think there's some good things brought up. Always fun to do the live sweat last night. Got my camera working again, which is nice, but you guys didn't want to see me anyway because my allergies are just killing me right now. All right, so let's see. David Alexander's asking, do you all mess with a minimum unique or simply just take what SaberSim gives you after you made your adjustments and applied them? When I do it, I do the latter. I take what it gives me after I adjust, but then I whittle down. So like when I built the 150 for this week for golf, I built 65 lineups and then I turned those into 150 and I just doubled, you know what I mean? So like the original 65 are mostly still there from the SaberSim thing. But I also, the rest of them I veered off of it because I like to make a little bit of my own decisions too. And didn't make sense to leave 3K on the table when Scott, you could play Scotty Scheffler, and instead you're playing, Fitzpatrick. I just didn't quite agree with that one.
Yeah, I don't mess around with the uniques at all. But I tried yesterday, so it's interesting. So with golf yesterday, I was wondering why I was getting only 40 golfers in my builds. So I actually messed with the post build stuff where I said, okay, give me a minimum of 2 uniques instead of min 1 to see how it expanded my pool. And it gave me a couple of more golfers, but not that much more. So I don't really mess with that. Now, again, when you do that, what you're doing after the build, if you then say, okay, I want min 2 uniques or 3 uniques instead of 1 or 2, what that's doing is, number one, it's giving you quote unquote worse lineups projected wise, but what it's doing is also reducing risk. So it's and reducing risk does have value, but that value is kind of hard to quantify. But if you are a little bit more risk averse, or for whatever reason you don't feel confident in your takes, and you're playing a bunch of lineups, then yeah, I totally feel that you can do that. You could, after the build, say, okay, I want min 2 uniques or min 3 or something. And yeah, you won't get yourself as great, you won't get yourself to your top 50, for example, projected lineups, but it will provide you at least with some reduction of risk, which does have value, although it is difficult to quantify.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The other thing I will say, by the way, about this baseball slate, is that there is money to be left on the table.
Yeah, for sure. That's one very simple thing you could do.
It's not a question that you could do. I'm getting that organically,
Yeah, I think that's totally fine. I think it makes plenty of sense to me. And Scott's question, I think we kind of answered, but I'll just address it. He said, "Are you guys open to other stacks other than 5-mans on the slates of this size?"
Dude, Bobby's open to 5-mans on any slate size.
Yeah, I'm open. I'm always open to doing it on any slate size, but I do think it's much more even viable when you're playing these slates. I would say 6 games or less, or super concentrated chalk on a 5-gamer, or even 5 or 6 games. I think that's probably about right. See, look, this feels like an Eric Johnson slate, because Eric Johnson loves to go super contrarian. This is the time to do it. These are the times where you get wild with it. He's doing the same thing, and he's stacking Detroit. So I like that. I think I don't agree that it's a good day to 5-man stack. I just don't. But it doesn't mean that it's wrong. It's just not what I'm trying to get to. If it happened naturally for my builds, I would have done it.
Yeah, you could play, if you play, say, Josiah Gray, you could play all the Torontos you want. Now, do you want to play these guys? Do you want to play Kevin Kiermaier and?
No, I want to play Brandon Belt at 2% ownership, and I want to play. What?
Oh, you mean instead of Guerrero?
Yeah, that's where you get different with the Detroit part of it. I mean, with the Toronto part, and I mean, Brandon Belt's projected to be 3% owned.
Yeah,
you got him a little bit higher. I think that yours might be closer. Let's say 5%, so somewhere around there.
Yeah.
But my first baseman in my lineups right now are Torkelson and Belt. And then you also get different by playing. I'm playing Baez at shortstop, and I'm playing Haas at catcher, who are both going to be sub 5%. That's pretty good to get sub 5% on a 4-gamer for 3 spots. That's basically all you can try to do, man.
I'll tell you who else is going to be really low owned is
Spencer Turnbull.
All these. I'm looking at Andrew Vaughn for Chicago.
By the way, Turnbull, just like the Coors guys, if you're going to include Josiah Gray and Jordan Lyles, I think you could throw a couple Spencer Turnbull lineups in there. Boston is not the same offense on the road that they are at home.
You got to tell you, first baseman, there's a lot of options. Remember, Crone is first base for Colorado. He's obviously gonna project well, but he's 5,800. You're gonna get a good play at first base. I don't know who it's gonna be, but
I think Crone, Vlad, Berger are gonna be the chalkier ones. Then I think you get into either Turner or Belt as the next guys, or Andrew Vaughn. But there's a lot of plays. I mean, and you've also got Cassis at 2,600. There's a lot of options. You got a lot of choices you can make there. I personally like the idea of the spend down guys, because it gets me a little bit different. Maybe it's even a little too different, by the way, to play Belt for me, because I can find a way to get Vlad into my build, but I just really like this build I'm coming across. And you know, as I always say with Colorado, like I'll play a one-off of Chris Bryant or a one-off of Blackman. That's fine. I can play a little bit of these guys if I'm going to be playing, you know, Haas, Baez, and Belt. Yeah, but I think Berger is the other one who would be. I think Berger's also third base eligible for what it's worth, and Berger's a completely valuable play today. The guy's got power for sure. No, Berger won't not be less than 1%. Berger will definitely be owned a little bit. Let's see.
I'm like screwing around here. I'm just trying to see how kooky I want to get here. So if I played like Josiah Gray and Lance Lynn, for example, then I could play the Torontos.
Josiah Gray, Lance Lynn. Well, you could. I think you're still overestimating how high Toronto's owned. I think that they're the third highest owned team on the slate.
I think so.
But it's really only 2 positions. Actually, sorry, the fourth highest owned team on the slate. I mean, there's only 8 teams, so it's pretty good. Because I think Colorado, Washington, then Boston will be the ownership.
Needless to say, you can no longer play Soto in Washington.
Maybe not Boston. Boston might actually not be that owned. Yeah, you no longer get Soto on Washington. But yeah, it's it's a nice little 4-gamer, nothing special. I will do the go live for NBA tonight. I very, very unlikely that I actually play, but I'm happy to talk through it, even if it's just for a few minutes with those of you guys who are still interested in NBA stuff. I don't like the tournaments. I don't like the way that these things are going. I just need to get away. I'm on a big downswing here. So 5-man stack them, Eric. No problem with that. You don't. Again, you're over going for the leverage, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion. And if you want a 5-man stack Detroit, you think that can get there enough? Go ahead.
Whatever happened to Craig Biggio?
Calvin Biggio?
I mean Calvin Biggio.
Not much. He was always a little bit lower tier than the other guys. He more had the name because of his dad and everything. But okay. He's still like, he just never quite became a really good major league hitter.
Yeah.
It's pretty much. But again, you talk about low owned guys in that stack. He's one of them.
Yep.
For sure.
You can play Meneses.
I like Meneses as my favorite Washington bat.
Yeah, me too.
Oh my God, I didn't sell my packages. Jeez. don't want to win and not have people get in there.
Yeah, that's no good. Yeah. Then they'll all get mad.
Yep.
Gausman. I guess I don't have to. Boy, oh boy. I'm going to end up leaving just so much money on the table here if I'm not careful. So, Lance Lynn. I don't want to play Boston in that weather, I don't think. Not sure what I'm going to end up doing here, Mr. Bobby.
Yeah, it's just it's a tricky little one, and I like, I'm doing what I'm doing, so I sort of have my mind made up. And like the thing is with baseball, I always say this with every sport, and if you're trying, you shouldn't be trying to win every day. Like that's not the goal. The goal is to hit big when you hit. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. I mean,
you want to take suboptimal lines for sure. If against the chalk. So, all right, got those up at least. So at least people had the chance to get in. All right, what else is there?
Who else is possibly gonna be an outfielder for Washington today? These guys are so terrible. Lane Thomas, he can't hit home runs, but
maybe in Colorado he can.
stolen bases. I mean,
yeah, that's what's bothering me. I've got Lewis Robert as a really good one-off play, but like I just am annoyed that he doesn't run anymore. Hasn't run this year.
Yeah.
And it's also bothering me that I have two guys who I'm spending up on in the outfield that neither of them run, and Chris Bryant is the other one. Just doesn't feel great. Like a little bit of speed. And those guys historically have run a little bit, so it's kind of weird.
I mean, and weirdly, like I said, I mean, if you play these Washingtons and whatever, you could swap later if you get the different lineup.
Yeah, that's true. I'm going with this. And so...
Oh, so Springer is out. Oh, we knew that. Okay. I think we knew that. So I actually think I should have to redo the projection. I had Springer in. That's so funny. Yeah, I think I'm going to do it, dude. I think I'm going to play Josiah Gray. And you know what? That's good because you know what? I'm never dead because he can always score 60 fantasy points.
Yeah.
Or maybe he goes to overtime. Now, Rich is saying, "Give me all the free one." I don't mind that too much, but I also have this weird idea that Washington is not even going to be that popular, even though it's a 4-game slate and it's in court.
Yeah,
because they're really bad.
But they're also crazy cheap. And Meneses is off to a good start. Lane Thomas leading off is 3,300.
Right.
Keibert Ruiz is 3,100 as a catcher with a platoon split advantage against Freeland. I mean, right now they're looking to be. I think that they're almost as owned as Colorado. I think Colorado ends up a little more owned. But
yeah, I have them as the highest owned, but I just have this. I don't know. The lineup's not out yet.
Well, yeah, that actually could become a thing at some point, but I don't think it would matter unless.
Well, one game's about to go down in like a half hour, right?
Yeah.
So.
But I think it's really the two Eastern. But I think that their lineup is, like there might be one thing different, but it's not going to be crazy different.
I mean, Meneses will play, Ruiz will play. The guys you want to play are going to play, I think.
You could play Jordan Lyles. I'm not going to.
I'm not doing that.
I just don't see any reason to, the low strikeout pitcher against a team that doesn't strike out.
Aside from that,
but everything you can do it. I mean, like it's the kind of slate where I wouldn't just write off everything. Like if you're playing, I don't know, I'd have to probably play like 50 lineups to get to Lyles. Maybe not that many, maybe 25. I don't know.
I don't think I'll even get there.
Yeah, he's got against this team. He's actually had some pretty good sample size in terms of how much he's pitched against them. And they've hit him pretty good. 350 on base percentage, 280 batting average, 8 home runs and 117 at bats, 12 extra base hits, so basically 1 per 9 at bats. A walk, 10% walk rate. Yeah, it looks like a spot where you'd want to be playing the other side of that. But
yeah, I'm not playing FanDuel today.
Yeah, you can leave like 6K on the table in baseball. I think that's totally fair. Like if I was to stack Colorado and Washington, that's what I would do is leave like 3.
That's what would end up happening. I mean, I think. Oops. All right, so let's see. I just redid the projections without Springer just to see if it's not going to change anything. Just want to see if any of the pitchers got it. No, not really.
Who else doesn't run anymore is Charlie Blackmon. I just get annoyed that none of these guys run.
And now that they can, I mean, like it's annoying now that they're too old to run, but now they're given the license to do so. It's like,
and they won't do it though. I listened to a really good interview with the GM of the Red Sox, the old GM, the former GM of the Red Sox and the Cubs, Theo Epstein.
Oh, yeah?
Talking about how they were trying to make the game better and more enjoyable. Like it got just way too out of hand with how they were working, and everybody thinks it was favoring the hitters, but the truth is, like, last year was the lowest league average it's ever been, 243. It's up 25 points this year. Stolen bases are 1/10 of what they were like 20 years ago, and now they're back up 300% so far this year. So I think they're doing the right things for the game. And it was getting a little bit ridiculous where you basically have to guess right and just hope for the home runs. Boy, Pat, everybody, yeah, I listened to a little too much of because Hovland can get rattled a little bit, and everybody was nervous about him, playing with Tiger. It doesn't seem to be bothering him much.
Guy's awesome. I mean, he's just awesome.
He's just crushing it right now. I mean, everything he hits is like perfect. He's about to go 5 under, I think. Yeah, disappointing start for Tiger. Although he did just pick up a birdie, so maybe he'll bounce back a little bit. But yeah, so that's going to be the content. So basically for NBA content stuff, I can't do my builds in my core, and also it literally, you have to do it like 5 minutes before lock right now, because everything changes completely. It's just and it's going to happen every single day, and but I'll be ready for it. I'll be ready to help walk guys through it, and then talk in our Discord for anything that pops up. But I just personally don't feel like investing these dollars in those streets at the moment. It's pretty wild, this playoff thing, though. I mean, if Dallas doesn't get in, it's pretty embarrassing because the Thunder.
Why? What's their situation?
They're in 11th right now in the West, but they made the trade for Kyrie, and they've just fallen completely. It makes no sense, too, in some sense, because like their whole thing was they were defense slow down basketball, and you trade your two best defenders, your two really good defenders. And now they go from being one of the better, slower teams that allows the fewest points to being the worst defensive team in the league. And it's just hard to beat everybody 140 to 130 every night. And that's what their lineup is built to do now.
Boy, that is like an incredible blow to the marketing machine. If like you get both Kyrie and Luka out of the playoffs.
I mean, they're probably going to get in because the Thunder have fallen apart, and it's really they're tied with the Thunder, and there's 2 games left. So it's pretty interesting what's happening here. So other than that, by the way, but just touching on some of the NBA stuff, like obviously that was a big win for the Clippers last night. Now we're going to see who ends up with the Suns, because that's a tough first round matchup, and who ends up getting the Kings, which would feel like a prize compared to the Suns for most of these teams, even though I'm not sure that's entirely warranted, although I think it's somewhat warranted. And then just wild to see who the Lakers end up playing in the first round. If they play the Grizzlies, are they going to be a big favorite? Like, it's kind of weird. And your Knicks are solidly standing completely where they are. It didn't work the angle I took last night on the game that they really just didn't have anything to play for, basically. But they still let Quickly go nuts, just maybe as a favor.
I guess.
Yeah, Svensson collapsed. I didn't like that. Was too bad, but I ended up with like 5% of him. I lowered some of my ownership on him.
Reese.
He's basically done for
Thomas, and then all the Torontos.
Alex Noren just came out and just was the worst thing I've ever seen today. He just completely, he bogeyed the first 5 holes.
Oh, really?
Something like that. Chris Kirk fighting back. All right. Back
there you go.
It's a 2 over. It's manageable. Instead of 5 over. Who else we got?
All right. So you know what? Just so you guys know, so I'm doing it.
What are you doing? What'd you settle on?
I went 50% Josiah Gray.
All right. Well, hey, we both took unique angles today. Doesn't
like the kids say on Twitter, I'm here for it. Right?
Yeah. Why not? And yeah, it should be, it's a small one. It's nice to have some action during the day and some sweats while the Masters is going on. All I really want to do is watch the Masters personally. Don't really want to do anything else. I got some site stuff I got to take care of, but yeah, it should be a fun day of sports for sure.
It says Cam Young can play.
Cam Young can play?
Yeah, and he's good. I mean, I'm saying.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying something.
No, he can. I mean, he's
really good. I thought Patrick Reed was going to be chalkier than he was. I actually ended up over the field on him, and I ended up with like 10% Adam Moronk. So maybe Adam Moronk can be one of those guys. Actually, maybe I didn't end up with that much of him. Let me see how much I could end up with. I know I put him in.
My kryptonite right now is Mitchell has to get his act together. He's +3.
Yeah, that's absolutely massacring me. I have no idea why I went with the play. I didn't even like it that much, and I used it in my biggest buy-in. I liked it, but I felt like I didn't want to use it in my biggest buy-in. I really didn't, and I did, which makes me feel.
So for what it was worth, the money line on the cut was +4. That was the yeah, that was like the pre-flop betting. Like you could, if you wanted to have, I think 4 was the over/under at like -140 or something like that.
Oh, I would have gone with 2 or 3. Oh, wow, it was that big. Wow.
That was going into today. I don't know what it is. DeChambeau with a 6 on his first hole.
Yeah, we see Rom 4-putted the first hole today.
Oh, really?
Then he went birdie though.
Of course. Of course.
He actually just missed an eagle on the next one.
He's so good.
He is. Here's Hoffman to go to 5 under. There he is, 5 under. You must have a decent amount of Hovland in your because of your build.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't do what you did, but I really think it's like a really, really good way to play 150. If you
the real key, by the way, to like everybody is gonna be what happens with Finau, right? I mean,
yeah,
he's 26%, right, in the millie. Is that right? Something like that.
And I'm very happy that I have less of them in the field. I did end up with a little bit of them. It was almost one of those things with Connors where I was like, Connors, I almost like ended up with way more than I thought because I was like, oh, I need to make sure I had some of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I have 33% Hovland, so that's good. Yeah. And you'd be happy to know I did end up playing some Hideki.
Yeah, he ended up pretty popular.
I know, it's annoying, right? He's usually like nobody ever plays him.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like, I mean, nobody played him last week, and there was no good golfers. Like, it's kind of weird. Let's see who else is going right now.
Cam Smith do it nicely, the -1. Very nice.
Fleetwood trying to make it 3 out of 4 majors with top 5s in a row. He's been 2 out of the last 3 top 5. So I'm waiting for it to start soon. Need a slow start. Oh, Mitchell's at 2 over now.
Oh, he made a birdie. Okay.
Yeah, so he's 2 over through 12 on Data Golf.
Hey, whatever. I mean, I don't need much.
As long, keep him in the plus 1 or even range would be nice by the end of the day.
I don't need much.
Anybody around even, I'm not gonna be sweating it.
Even, I'll take even. You know what I mean?
Really needs that one. You set it perfectly.
And you know what's awesome? It's like totally the Masters coverage. It's so funny. I thought that I was sharing my screen when I had it up before. That's why I made the joke about violating the copyright laws or whatever. I thought I was actually sharing the screen, but for those of you that haven't done this, I mean, you go to masters.com, you can follow like literally all your golfers. I spent like 20 minutes just marking my favorites. So I basically have on the right side have just the 40 golfers I follow. Like I see all of their shots as it comes up, and it's the ultimate like burying my head in the sand like an ostrich. I see no action from Rahm, Scheffler, Rory, Tiger, all these guys. And just kind of just hope that they don't show up on the leaderboard. I look at the leaderboard on the top. Once I see something like Rahm -3, I'm like, uh-oh. Then I'm gonna be worried. Until then, I'm just literally burying my head in the sand. and just like watching all the other guys and rooting for them, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you. So Sheets, will you stay on for a minute after this? I've got questions I want to run by you.
And just for those of you who are here, so I have Hideki for birdie. Oh, you know what? He'll putt one day.
How did he?
But what I was going to say is that I'm going to do for those of you who are watching, I'm doing my MMA DFS video at some point this afternoon. I'm going to probably do an NHL video as well. I haven't done one in a while. And MMA betting breakdown will be tomorrow. And tonight at 6, we are going to go live and try to break down the incredible players that are playing for the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think Dean Wade is the highest salaried player on the team today. I think that's actually not even a lie. I think that's actually true. So we'll try to make heads or tails of that, along with the possibility that maybe Embiid, either he plays or he doesn't play. You know what I mean? Like, does he think that he has to play to secure the MVP? He's 100% to win.
Well, no, he started. It was turning against him to where, like, last week, I think with that 52-13 and the win over the Celtics,
I think that's got to be good enough.
I think you're good.
With Jokic literally missing every game, I mean, I really think.
But Jokic is missing games, but like they don't win when he doesn't play that much, and they're going to win the West, whereas the Philly is the 3 seed, and the second best player on their team is James Harden versus Jamal Murray. I mean, I have to say, like, there is a pretty good case for Jokic here, but he's won 2 in a row, so it's time to give Embiid one. He really wants it. I guess that's what happens these days. You want it, you get it. But I want to take the victory lap over and over again on this one, because this is one that was so easy to sniff out at the All-Star break. That Embiid at 12-1 for the MVP was just absurd. Jokic was I think minus 1100 to win the MVP at the All-Star break, which is just an absurd thing to happen.
Dude, my friend Jack, who, he's Big Al's brother, he's my Survivor partner, whatever it is. Dude, he had not only UConn to win the championship that he bet in like November.
Oh my God.
But he also had Sacramento at like 40-1 to win the division or something like that.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Pretty crazy.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yep.
That was my son's bet from last year, right? Like,
I think he's got the Suns to win the championship.
I had the Suns were, because they were playing with the Lakers and Clippers, same division. They were like 40-1 to start the year when they got Chris Paul, and then it was 2 years ago, I guess. But I was like, that seems crazy, because the Clippers are going to rest guys, and the Lakers aren't that good. And the Suns, of course, won by like 10 games, like, and they were 35-1 or 40-1, whatever it was.
I have 2 open futures bets. I have the one I have with you. We have Clippers Sixers.
Yeah,
to meet in the finals, and then I have another team to win the NBA championship at 200-1. They are a 5 seed, and I will be rooting.
John Rahm with a 4-footer for Eagle coming up.
Of course.
Sorry, you literally put it out in the universe, and he's about to have the exact score that you said.
Yep.
There he is, -3.
Yep.
Exactly. Boy, I bet he's really regretting that start. How does he? Oh man, he had a birdie putt, like, and he ended up 4-putting like a 20-footer. It wasn't like it was impossible. All right.
Yeah, and so you can catch this. So I have 200, and I have a 200-1 shot also to win the NBA championship. Who is a 5 seed? So that's good.
Wait. 200-1? What do you mean? What's 200-1?
I have a 200-1 shot to win the NBA championship as a 5 seed.
Who am I missing here?
The Knicks. The Knicks.
Wait, you bet him at 200-1?
I got him at 200-1.
Can you cash out for like double your money? Because they're not going to win the title, but
of course not.
They're not going to. But I have to say, like,
when I told you what I got from the first time, we talked about this 2 months ago, you're like, they're not winning, but that's a big price. It's like, yeah,
it's too much a little bit, like,
right? But they're just not winning. That's the problem.
Yeah, but there's Giannis gets hurt. I don't think they will beat the Cavs, but they could beat the Cavs. Very, very possibly. And Giannis gets hurt, and then boom.
I'm sorry, I lied. They're not 200 to 1. They're 250 to 1.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, if they win a round.
Okay. So you ready? So I bet $50 to cash out for cash for 12,550. Here's the quiz. What is their cash out option right now? I'm staring at it. $50 bet to win 12,550 at 250 to 1. What is their cash out value right now?
Like $75.
$75. Anybody want to take a different guess? Anybody want to guess a little more? Anybody want to guess a little bit less before I tell you?
I didn't say what it should be, but that's what it probably is. That was my guess as to what it is.
Anybody want to take a guess at this? The Knicks, I don't know what they are right now, so that's cheating if you look at what they are right now. But I will show you. You ready?
Let's see it.
Here it is. We're going to hold on. Share a screen. Share this screen. You ready? Wait, that's you. Hold ready. Boom.
Wait, how can it be less than the actual
$18.39?
It's less than the actual bet. That's hilarious.
I made a bad bet, you're telling me. At 200.
Well, it's a hard one for it to be but that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's not nice.
Yeah, definitely not nice. I have to run to the restroom really quickly, and I'm pretty ready.
We got to get out of here anyway. It's all good.
Okay, sounds good. All right, I'll see you in a minute.
Okay, I'll wait. So stop the stream, then you come back.
I'll be right back. All right.
So